Hello, I'm Ayca Aydin and welcome to the special edition of Strait Talk here from Mersin Port, Turkey's largest maritime gateway to the world. One of the biggest harbours on the Mediterranean, the port of Mersin sprang into action immediately after the February 6 earthquakes that struck southern Turkey. The epicenter was just a few hundred kilometers from where I'm standing now. Following the tremors, this shipyard became a crucial lifeline to get much-needed aid to hundreds of thousands of quake survivors.
Turkey is now trying to rebuild entire cities that were leveled in seconds by a pair of earthquakes, which also left tens of thousands of people dead and displaced millions more. Immediately after the disaster on February the 6th, Ankara asked for international aid for both search and rescue operations and survivors' needs. Nearly 100 countries responded to the call.
The United States is here to support you in your time of need, and we will be by your side for as long as it takes to recover and to rebuild.
And when it came to distributing the aid that's been pouring into Turkey, Mersin International Port has led the charge. The port on the Mediterranean coast of southern Turkey has welcomed international aid ships from the US, Pakistan and Egypt. Mersin also played an important role in hosting survivors evacuated from the quake zones. The TCG Bayraktar, TCG Sancaktar and TCG Iskenderun Navy ships have transported more than 8,000 people and served as hospitals after the evacuations. Mersin International Port is the country's largest container port, handling 30 million tons of cargo per year. It's one of the main container ports in the Mediterranean, with transit and connections to the Middle East and Black Sea. It meets a significant part of Turkey's export and import needs with its infrastructure and equipment and large storage areas. Soon after the quake struck, officials at Mersin International Port announced that humanitarian aid ships routed to quake-hit regions wouldn't be charged until the end of March. Egypt's Al Hurreya ship carrying 650 tons of international aid was welcomed by Egyptian Foreign Minister Shukri and his Turkish counterpart Çavuşoğlu at Mersin Port on February the 27th.
Egypt has been making efforts to help Turkey during the disaster, and priority is given to ships carrying aid supplies to cross the Suez Canal.
Another aid ship arriving at the port was Pakistan's Navy vessel PNS Nasser. It carried 1,000 tons of relief goods for quake victims. The country's port and shipping minister, Faisal Sabzwari, recalled Ankara's assistance to the thousands of victims of last year's floods across Pakistan and said it was Islamabad's turn to pay back our Turkish brethren. A US Navy ship also docked at Mersin Port on February the 28th. The USS Herschel Woody Williams ship was loaded with nearly 20 tons of humanitarian aid. The supplies received at the port have been crucial in helping the millions who were left homeless by the quake. And amid all the death and destruction, the Mersin International Port has been a beacon of hope by becoming a gateway for the world to provide a helping hand in the biggest natural disaster in Turkey's modern history.
Even before the February 6 quake struck, the port of Mersin had long-term plans to be a major shipping hub in the eastern Mediterranean. Its strategic location, close to the Suez Canal and other key maritime routes, made the port even more valuable to get relief supplies to the quake zone. To get a better understanding of the port's operations, I spoke with the Secretary General of the Mersin Chamber of Shipping, Captain Mesut Ozturk. A veteran of the sea and shipping industry, I asked him about the crucial role Mersin Port played in the first few weeks after the earthquake struck. Captain, thank you very much for joining me. Can you tell me how much cargo Mersin Port operates on a regular day?
Yeah.
Mersin Port is one of the biggest in the eastern Mediterranean. It's a connection point for transits, as well as for imports and exports. Each month, the port handles around 160,000 containers, which amount to 3 to 3.1 million tons in weight.
söylersek 3 milyon, 3 milyon 100
On a yearly basis, for example, in 2022, we had 174,000 TEU containers, which equal to 37 million tons. This data alone shows its capacity.
büyük bir liman, Doğu Akdeniz'in en büyük limanlarından.
So it was already a busy port, but how have the February 6 earthquakes impacted the operations on this very port?
Tabii bu kadar yoğun limanında zaten...
With such a capacity and ongoing operations, the port was already very busy with ships and goods traffic.
6 Şubat'taki
After the devastating earthquakes on February 6, a fire that broke out among the overturned containers at Iskenderun port and the subsequent structural damage has made Mersin port the best alternative in the Eastern Mediterranean.
kullanılan İskenderun limanının
Most of the containers bound for Iskenderun port had to be redirected to Mersin port and other private docks in the bay.
adresli yüklerin birçoğu Körfez'deki
And these unavoidable circumstances increased the workflow at the port, which already had a busy workload.
daha da artırdı.
How did you coordinate it and how did you mobilize the staff working here?
Onu tabii ki şöyle izah edebiliriz.
While coordinating this tight schedule of shipments, we prioritize humanitarian aid supplies and stop normal operations to deliver these supplies to the most needed places as quickly as possible, especially containers loaded with search, rescue, and aid material.
Acil yüklerin getiren gemilere öncelik tanındı. İnsani yardım.
Then, the most important cargoes are dispatched via land for survivors in the region, which, like Iskenderun, have sustained much damage from the earthquakes.
Sevkiyat yapıldı.
Which countries so far have sent post-quake relief aid to Turkey after the devastating
Tabii ki
earthquake?
dünyanın birçok yerinden deprem bölgesi için yardım ulaştı.
A lot of aid has come into the port as it's the closest to the 11 provinces damaged from the quakes.
En yakın liman olarak, en yakın büyük liman olarak
The aid cargo sent by development agencies in the U.S., including healthcare products, sheltering, and rescue tools, are distributed via Mersin port.
koordine etmiş olduğu yükler Mersin limanına geldi. Buradan karayoluyla
2 aid ships from Egypt also anchored here.
sağlık yardımı gerek
The foreign ministers of both countries personally welcomed the ship and watched it as it was being unloaded.
eşlik ettiler ve sevkiyatı yapıldı.
So the Mersin port also provided an opportunity for Ankara to mend its ties with several countries, right?
Doğru, çünkü bu vesileyle
That's correct. This way, by receiving their aid, we have found a chance to normalize relations with neighboring countries with which we've had some political differences.
yardımların ulaşması işte deniz
And it shows us just how important the ports and sea traffic are for international relations.
bu denli bu şekilde bir katkısı da oluyor, bu da kaçınılmaz.
So is the aid still flowing into this port, and for how long do you think this trend will continue?
Yani bu tabii ki devam edecek. Hemen
Of course, it will continue like this for a while. This crisis can't end at short notice because it's caused severe, long-term damage.
Ondan sonra buranın onarılma aşamasında da
Even
tabii
after
ki,
the debris is cleared and the process of rebuilding begins, Mersin port will retain its importance since most of the materials will come through the port and be sent out from here.
üzerinden, bölgeye ulaştırılması öngörülüyor.
All right, Captain, thank you very much.
Ben teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much.
Cargo ships loaded with hundreds of tons of aid set sail for Turkey immediately after the quakes. After docking here in Mersin, the supplies would be unloaded and distributed via rail and road all across Turkey's southeast. Aid groups would pick up supplies at Mersin and move them directly to the front lines of the quake zones. On top of being a crucial gateway, the port of Mersin also unexpectedly became a platform for diplomacy, both for longtime allies and with countries that Turkey has had difficulties in relations with. To discuss how Mersin played a role in Quake relief efforts, I'm joined by Gurhan Cevik. He is the Director of Operations on Global Empowerment Mission, a non-profit that helps distribute aid, and Ayca Aydin. She is mission lead for GEM Türkiye, and thanks for joining me. Now we're at the Mersin port where most of the aid relief had been distributed across the earthquake-stricken region. So Gurhan, what was your first reaction to the devastating earthquakes that struck southern Turkey on February 6th? How did you feel?
I felt bad, like everybody. But as GEM, if you want me to tell something, we have three main phases to react. The first one is giving hope to people, immediate response to the disasters. We first, in the first days, we rented a warehouse here and constructed the production lines and started to distribute aids to the people, to the regions that are affected. As I say, I can say that we are distributing 2,000 boxes each day to the affected zones, 2 trucks fulfilled and 2 vans fulfilled with 2 teams. We are going there and we are knocking the doors. We are going village by village, home by home, and giving the aids to the people.
So Ayca, how long did it take you to comprehend the scale of the destruction when you arrived here?
Actually, I was in Istanbul at the first day, and I saw some news, and I have some local friends around. I immediately tried to give them a call, and then they were just crying, and they're just saying that this is the disaster of the century, and it was so tough. And then I burst into tears because even I lost my friends here. So suddenly I just pack up my stuff and rush into the airport in order to get the AFAD flight as a volunteer to come to the area. So my first reaction was like losing your home, like people here. So it was so tough.
So what kind of a role, Gurhan, did Mersin port play in the aftermath of the devastation? How did you guys mobilize here?
Yeah, Mersin port is very important because it's a huge organization and play a very important role receiving the goods, receiving the products from international side, and will also play an important role because it's, as I said, it's a huge organization. For numbers, 2.6 million TU per year is capacity of container. 1 TU is 150 container, it means. And also, Mersin Port gives conventional cargo services as 10 million tons of 10 million tons of cargo per year. It's a huge organization.
So Ayca, what do you make of the international aid that arrived right after the devastation? I mean, how much cargo you have received from foreign countries? How many foreign countries we're talking about here?
Actually, I was here as a volunteer, so I was on the field all the time long. So I have I saw some tents from Bangladesh, Ukraine, United Kingdom, everywhere. I think that all the countries just come together in order to ease our pain here. Personally, I can say all around the world, people just come together just to ease our pain.
Mm-hmm. You also talked to them and worked with them. How did it feel?
Actually, on the field, generally the survivors feel like more appreciated when they saw people, they're coming from their home. They left their beds, their family, their kids, and they're here just for help, just for hugging people, just saying that, giving their condolences. They said that they're upset about their loss. So it's a very big aid also. It's not about just giving them food or just sending them shelters or something, but that these people just need psychologically to be in that humanity, you know. They just lost everything, so they just want to feel they are just part of the world. So this is the main point, I think.
So Gurhan, how much of cargo you have received from foreign countries?
We are using all the transportation ways, like air, airports, and land, and also water, transportations. For example, we had 10 trucks from Poland by land in the last few days, and also 5 trucks of materials from airports in Adana and Incirlik. And we are waiting for 3 containers, 3 40 feet high cube containers from US by the waterway.
So how has your organization acted since the earthquake struck, and how do you communicate with the international and local officials in sending or distributing these aid reliefs?
We have international partners like Be Strong, like Amazon, and local partners also like Hook Shipping Company. We are coordinating all of these. The materials are coming from also outcoming and from also local. And you know, it gives a fresh blood to Turkish economy also, especially to Mersin economy, because we are buying the things, goods from local groceries also. The first reaction was, as I said, we rented a big warehouse, constructed the product lines, and started to product the boxes with full of food and hygienics, and also the other materials like comfort sets, tents, sleeping bags, and
even diapers, hygienic pads,
yeah,
everything.
most
And
of things.
is the aid still flowing?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
still flowing.
And how do you think that will continue for?
I think
Actually, we are planning to be here 1 year. It will be
Yes.
a long-term process for us.
So what kind of challenges, Ayca, did you face in the first day of the quakes? I mean, did you have any operational problems on the ground?
Actually, I have to say, as a volunteer, I came here with the AFAD, and I served them with like 20 days. And by chance, I meet GEM, just Global Empowerment Mission, the day we are suffering for food, because I have so many survivors on my list, and on that day, I need really life-savory food for them. And then I just met with them, and then I feel that we have the same passion to serve my people. And then I started to go my path with GEM. So actually, I have to say, this is really hard stuff to just handle, because at the first 3 days, we was lack of even fresh water, because the roads were already collapsed. We had a snow problem. We had everything, and also we have 11 cities affected by the earthquake. It was just a huge disaster to handle with. And also, I don't know, locally I have to say, we have separated villages. Even just one village, it takes 2 hours to reach. So it's a huge operation, it's a huge need, so it was so tough to be in it as a volunteer as well.
So what could you tell us about the importance of Mersin Port, Gurhan? We know that it's helping the reconstruction efforts to the earthquake region, but what other projects should be planned to help those people who are traumatized with this devastation?
You know, we are in a non-affected area in Mersin, and that's why Mersin is very important region for transportation. You know, the other ports like Iskender port is affected. Yes, is affected, and Mersin became very important for the transportations.
I mean, how much of a weight did it add to the operations of this port? I mean, was it overwhelmed when Iskenderun port was rendered unoperational?
I think Mersin port is working now more because of Iskenderun port is affected. 2 times, I think 2 times, it came a large amount of receives comes here.
So thousands of other people were also affected by this earthquake in northern Syria. So we know that Syria is relying on the Turkish networks. How important it is for the region to receive Turkish aid, and how are you planning to organize this?
Actually, on Saturday, we are planning to just go there with our own trucks and 2 vans. It will be full of tents, sleeping materials, hygienic products, and also lifesaver food for them. They are our guests from the beginning of the war, as you know. As Turkey, we are always welcome Syrian people in our country. And now, again, actually I have to say, this disaster teach us or remind us, human just everywhere needs help, we have to be there immediately. And now we have a chance to also aid in Syrian people. We actually get all our permissions to go in, and then we will be there, and with a good appreciate, we will be help them in Saturday, I hope.
So, Gurhan, what do you know about the situation in Syria? How bad is it?
As bad as are. Yeah, and addition to Ayca, we are trying to send containers to Lebanon, and we are trying to transport it directly to the Syrian region, the aids.
So, Ayca, what will be the psychological implications for earthquake survivors, you think, and how important it is to treat the people, the mental health of survivors, and of course the rescue workers or volunteers like yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
What should be the roadmap?
Actually, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm on a field very long time. It's my 1 month. So even myself, I feel so bad. Sometimes we just cannot sleep, cannot eat, or just suffering from their suffering, you know. You feel that somebody has that much pain, and then you cannot resist because we are all human beings. So we have to touch them. Just a few days ago, just one of my survivor friends told me that, do you know how important that you are here just by hugging me? Because I need to people just hug me and say me that we are here for you and we know you, we understand you. And it's really tough even just communicating with survivors, because you know, when we are just communicating with the kids, we can ask, hey, where is your mom? Where is your father? But now it's not the time. We have to be more careful, because even we are not can be sure if they lost their family members. So even it was so tough and to communicate with people.
Turkey has for a long time been sending humanitarian aid to various countries which are in need of that. So unfortunately with this disaster, do you think Turkey's goodwill has been reciprocated by the world?
Yes, we send it as Turkey. We send it too much aid to the other countries, and now other countries are sending us too much aid. Thankful for them, like Egypt, like Greece, and all over the world. From Poland, we get the things. From USA, thankful. We are thankful for them.
So the sheer scale of the disasters means relief work will have to continue for maybe years.
Maybe 1 year or more than.
Maybe more than that. So what should be the roadmap in here? I mean, do you have any projects once this reconstruction has started and new homes are built? What should be done moving forward and have those local people, you know, in the region where they belong to?
Okay. Actually, we are, as GEM, we are now in Ukraine, and in the field reconstruction. We are doing constructions. We are doing homes, schools. As in Turkey, we can do this in the future. Yeah, we will do this in the future for reconstruction. As I said, homes, schools, we can do this.
Actually, we need to create permanent solution for that people. Our job is not to just give them life-saving products and go away. We want to stay here. We just want to rebuild their life, give them hope, and then just say that we are strong together. Because I have to tell something. GEM as a pronunciation means together in Turkish. So it gives us the power to be together. So we will plan to their life, their new life together. So it's the main point, I guess.
All right, Ayca and Gurhan, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For joining me, and good luck with your work. And that's all for me here on Strait Talk. Thanks for joining me on this special edition from Mersin Port, Turkey's maritime gateway to the world. Until next time, take care and goodbye.